again, where we catch up with Tomàs Griffin on Kerry Athletics. And of course, this evening we have a very special guest with him, Megan Lynch of Listowel Athletics Club. Megan, of course, is the current national under-19 100-metre champion, and I spoke to them earlier today. Now it's that time of month again when we check in with the world of athletics, and I'm delighted once again to have Tomàs Griffin in studio, along with Listowel athlete Megan Lynch, and we'll be talking to Megan shortly. First, Tomàs, though, I suppose the World Championships have just finished, and it's put the sport of athletics kind of back on a national stage for a while. People's interested in performances and times and even maybe medals, but it's been a very, very busy month for athletics, and actually a very busy month for Kerry athletes, two of whom we even had in Oregon.
Absolutely, thanks Donal, and again on behalf of everybody in Kerry Athletics, thank you for the time. Athletics, track and field especially, is very much a global sport, and it's fantastic to have people from Kerry on a global level. And I suppose the past month, July, a lot goes on because it's also the month of all the national championships that go on, right from senior level right down to juvenile level. So we've had a lot of Kerry athletes competing. But on a global level, we had people competing in the World Masters Championships in Tampere, Finland. Niamh O'Sullivan from Onreacht took 4 medals across many of the distance disciplines. We had Jor Crimmon also from Onreacht in the 110 metre hurdles, took a silver in the men's 40 110 metre hurdles. And Jor teamed up with Kevin Lynch from Listowel AC, and 2 others as part of the Irish 4x4 relay team, and they won the gold medal actually in the men's 40 division. Masters athletics, I suppose, and how it differs from the other internationals is you don't get selected for Masters if you've got the money in your pocket, I suppose, and the burning ambition to still compete. You can, but you'd want to be somebody really of a standard, not to make a fool of yourself going out to global athletics.
And what are the standards of the boys? What would they have ran that time in there? I mean, obviously to win a world championship, you're at a really, really gallop.
Absolutely, like you do get former elites and former Olympians do continue on in the sport, and they adopt Masters athletics. So the guys in the relay team, to put it in perspective, so these guys are all in their mid to late 40s. They ran the 4x400 metre relay in 3 minutes 29.7 seconds. So that matches the time that the team from Killarney of under-19s ran in the Irish Schools Championships. Yeah. So that's the standard they're at. That's each guy running sub 52 seconds for 400 metres, notwithstanding the fact that they're in their 40s. So when they go onto that level, on a global level, you kind of think of them as performance athletes as well, rather than being kind of tourists. So it's a fantastic achievement from those Kerry athletes. Then on a global level, you mentioned there that we had people in the World Championship. So we had David Kenny in the walk, 20-kilometre walk. So David performed, I suppose, below what he would usually perform, because he did pick up a little bit of an injury out there during the race. He finished 39th. I know he's gone back to base. He's gone back with Rob Heffernan and the training team. He went into the championships with the 4th best time competitively, so he'll probably be a little bit disappointed in the performance, but I'm sure he'll just regather himself. The
conditions too, I mean, in fairness, like, I mean, they're not walking in a normal day in Farn 4. I mean, the heat was unbelievable, I suppose, and all this is kind of a training ground as well. I mean, he's still at the very informative years of race walking.
Yeah, so when we say it's, you know, any part of athletics is on a global level, those guys train at altitude. They train in countries all over the world, so there's a lot of personal investment in both finance and investment of time and energy goes into trying to achieve it. But I suppose for the listeners to understand, when the likes of Sarah Leahy and David Kenny were in the World Championships, they're already amongst the very best in the world to actually be in the championships. When you're competing against teams in the sprints, like Sarah was competing against the Jamaicans, the Canadians, the Germans, they're all the sprinting hotspots in the world. The relay team she was competing in had to be in the top 16 in the world to even get there. So to have an Irish relay team and to have somebody from Kerry at that level, and also to have David at that level in race walking in those disciplines, is fantastic. You also have other internationals at a younger age as well, up and coming. So we mentioned Oisín Lynch the last time we were here. So Oisín got to represent the Irish schools team. He's out of Killarney Valley AC. He ran the 800 metres and he was 6th in the Home Nations International in Belfast in the month of July. He ran a personal best 1:56.09 for 800 metres, which puts him as the fastest under 17 800 metre runner in the country. Jason O'Reilly, also from Killarney Valley AC, is right now at this point in time is out in Slovakia, in Banska Bystrica is the name of the place. He's competing in the European Youth Olympic Federation medley relay team. So again, his discipline is 400 metres, trains very, very hard, and shows the pathway for other athletes in Kerry as well, that they can just go from not just being a club athlete in Kerry, but can also aspire to represent Ireland.
And of course, it's not like going up the road to Tuam. I mean, there's a big effort to get to all these European countries as well, and I suppose there's a team around him ensuring that he gets there and the whole lot. So he's learning that as well within kind of a more professional unit, maybe.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for the likes of Oisín and Jason, it's exposure to big championships, so that then they can aspire to be like David and Sarah, where they're at the really highest level from a senior level. And then other athletes that we're going to talk about now that were in the national championships, aspiring to be the next David or be the next Sarah, and maybe on the stepping stones of what Oisín has done and what Jason has done. So just to talk about national championships, right through July it was busy from an athletic standpoint. Lots of coaches and parents, I suppose, are now looking forward to the end of the season, because they were making the trek up to Tullamore, is where a lot of the national championships happen. In the national championships underage, let's just talk about the disciplines. Race walking. So Kerry had 2 medalists in race walking national championships. Both of them coincidentally are out of Kinmare AC, both sisters, Lucy De Frita and Eva De Frita. So Lucy was third in the under-16 2-kilometre race walk, and her sister Eva took the silver in the under-19. So there's something good happening in Kinmare where somebody's got a passion for race walking.
You might be following the Gillian O'Sullivan steps.
Absolutely, and great history out of Kerry in race walking, so it's great to see that out of Kinmare. From a throws standpoint, again, athletics has got multi-discipline, so throws, you had loads of throwers in the national championships, all medaling. Kevin O'Shea out of Farnfore Main Valley, under-14 discus. I know he's been coached by his dad, who was also a former thrower. Aaron Crean out of Tralee Harriers, under-14 shot, bronze medal. Gold medalist out of Unreacht, a very interesting athlete, Kieran Kane, under-15 shot, 15 metres 45. He's on a trajectory, I think, to really achieve something and maybe start looking at being the next Oisín or Jason, and he's getting good coaching over there in Reacht. Tralee Harriers, you had Kirby Ann Ryan. She took a silver medal in the under-19 discus and took a gold medal in the under-19 shot. Out of Listowel AC, Megan's club, you had Padraig McCarthy. He took a silver medal in the shot put, but he also stepped up from under-19 level to under-20, and he took a silver medal also in the under-20 weight for distance. Other athletes then from other clubs that are starting to chip away at throwing. St Brendan's AC had young Owen Malik. He took 6th place in the under-15 javelin. So again, within throws, you've got multiple disciplines of the types of throws as well, and it's interesting to see clubs putting a particular focus on certain types of throws as well. Another discipline that Kerry does very well in is jumps. So we had 4 medalists on a national level in the jumps, between long jump, high jump and triple jump. Silver medal came at under 23 level from Killian Griffin out of Tralee Harriers. He jumped a huge 6 metres 94. He has been over 7 metres before and possibly was chasing the gold, but 6 metres 94, if listeners just want to measure that out in their sitting rooms, they'll appreciate how far that actually is that he jumped.
It's hard to walk it for some people.
Absolutely, yeah. You had high jumpers at under 23 level out of Killarney Valley AC, Jordan Lee, whose name pops up quite a lot. He took a gold medal in the under 23 high jump, and his clubmate Ciara Kennelly also took a gold medal in the under 23 high jump as well. Out of Listowel AC, you had young Alex Collins, took an under 13 silver medal in the long jump, and his sister Tally was in 6th place in the under 15 long jump. So again, you can see somebody with a burning passion for a particular event managing to light that fire in somebody else as well.
Are they rare events though? I mean, most people when you talk about athletics, they think running straight away, but it's when you watch, we'll say Oregon for example, and they fill up the time slots and you see the javelin and you see the shot put and you see that people say, God, I could have a go at this. It doesn't look a fierce technical sport to get into, but obviously it is, I suppose, when you started. But it's a sport that is an open door for a lot more athletes.
Absolutely. So I mean, the raw ingredients that are needed for any of the disciplines in track and field is, number one, just have a bit of discipline and be willing to commit, and I'm sure Megan will talk about that later. Know that it's a long journey and enjoy the journey when you're on it. And then the events, when you get into them, there's so many technical things to work on to help you get better, and that's a really positive thing with the sport, is you can identify the things that can help you get better and work at those, and you can see the improvements. At the end of the day, athletics is beating the clock or beating the measuring tape, and that can be very personal to yourself, and it doesn't have to be about winning national medals, but there should be an ambition to be better than yourself.
And you can see that in television. I mean, sometimes you see a race and 8th finish and the person in 7th is celebrating because they have a national record or they have a season's best. So it is always beating yourself is the idea, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you can take a lot of inspiration from some of the athletes, like the para athletes. Jordan, for instance. So Jordan Lee, in the past month, he decided to try long jump. he's never done long jump before other than messing around in training. So the para-national championships were also on. So Jordan obviously would be expected to win the para-national championships because he's winning able-bodied stuff. So he did a long jump just as something different, and he jumped 6 metres 23 in his first long jump competition. So he's as good as any of the able-bodied long jumpers now as well. Coming on the scene out of Star of the Lawn is another para-athlete as well. Now he's very young. His name is Luca Leahy O'Brien, and he competed in the same para championships at a junior level, and he tried long jump and he tried other events and he took medals in them. So it'll be interesting to see what the guys in Star of the Lawn do with that kid and his trajectory, but it looks like he's got some talent. So it's really great to see people trying different things. Distance runners. So Kerry's got a great tradition of distance runners. There was 4 medalists on a national level in the distance runners out of clubs. You've got brothers out of Farnformain Valley, the Vickers brothers, and they're very interesting to see them in action. So Ryan won a gold medal at the under 13 600, while his brother Isaac won a silver medal in the under 14 1500. Those guys have got a good training group going over there. So
I saw them in the town park room there in Killarney one day, and they're absolutely exceptional. Actually, I would believe that I saw them, I'm nearly sure, in the 6th class cross country over in Carslee as well. They come to Munskull, and outstanding athletes, and very, very committed.
So I think the goal with these guys and any of the athletes we're talking about is keeping them in the sport, and knowing that, look, their athleticism is so good that other sports tend to pull at them, which is fine. And athletics is never precious about telling people not to do other sports, but allowing them to do other sports. But we will hope that athletes will choose the pathway of athletics, again, because it's a global sport. And Megan, I'm sure, will share with us some of her experiences over the past while. Sprinters, again, Kerry having some fantastic sprinters. Standout performances, Megan, she's going to talk about us soon. Gold medalist under 19 in the 100 metres and a silver medalist in the 200 metres. You had others as well. Again, young Ryan Vickers there, he won a gold medal in the under 13 80 metres. Jason O'Reilly, who we mentioned, is on the international stage at the moment. He took a silver medal in the under 17 400. Relay teams, Listowel AC had silver medal winning relay teams at under 23 level and under 20 men's level. So it's really interesting to see some clubs adopting the whole approach to relays, and I'm sure there's a good aspect of retention in the sport if clubs start really focusing on that, especially in the older age groups. A really standout performance as well that's worth mentioning is Killian Griffin from Tralee Harriers in the under 23 100 metre final. He came 6th. So he didn't take a medal, but he ran 10.65 seconds for 100 metres. So, that is top class sprinting. I think it was won in 10.24 by Israel Olatunde, and that is world class sprinting, 10.65. So sprinting really, really strong, and it's great to see the medals popping up. Ones to watch in the very young age groups, there was a couple of young ladies out of Tralee Harriers and at under 10 level. They, for the second year on the trot, they won what's called a pairs gold, where their performances are added together and then compared to other duets from other clubs. So they won the 60 metre paired, where both times are added together. So they're ladies that we hope that to be talking to them maybe when they're under 19 like Megan and still in the sport.
There you go, Tomàs Griffin. That's part 1 of that, and we'll be talking to Megan very shortly. The group stages are in Group A, Senior County Football Championship. Remember, 4 groups of 4. If you're out there, Dr. Crokes, Shannon Rangers, Kinmere Shamrocks and St. Kieran's. Group 2, Kieran O'Reilly's, Spa, Dingle and East Kerry. Group 3, Austin Stacks, West Kerry, Mid Kerry, Nagale. And Group 4, St. Brendan's, South Kerry, Temple and Field Rangers. We'll take a break.
Breaking down the weekend sporting action. This is Terrace Talk on Radio Kerry.
Now back to part 2 there of the Kerry Monthly Athletics slot, and we're chat up with Megan Lynch.
Megan, Listowel is kind of, I would always classify it as a football, I would say lovely rugby team up there as well at times. They're great for reading and writing and be keen. But sprinting, something that's really kind of come out of it, particularly with that silver medal in the national championships. You might speak to us about that first before we go back and start your journey.
Yeah, no, sprinting in Listowel is definitely coming up, especially with younger athletes.
And you had your big day out at the national championships, hadn't you?
We did. Fortunately, there's 4 of us in Listowel, and we all, I suppose, lucky enough to be sprinters and on that same level. And
who are your teammates out there? Who are their names?
You have Rachel Needham and Rebecca Falvey and Sinead Hunt. We'd all be running in the under 23s national seniors, and decided to give the relay a go at counties one day and realised, look, there might be some potential there. So we worked hard for about a month, and the national seniors came along and we went out there, we tried our best and lucky enough to come out with a silver medal.
Yeah, it's a silver national medal. You're very modest, just a silver medal. I suppose the talk to us about the relay. I suppose a lot of us watching it on the television at the moment, and obviously we get the concept that you must pass the baton around, but how incredibly difficult is it to do that at that level?
It's without the practice, look, it is a very complicated event. You probably wouldn't think it, like you said, but there is the pressure and the nerves, handing over a baton, the responsibility of getting it into another person's hand, making sure you don't run out your zone, don't drop the baton. Jesus, that.
Yeah. And it happens. I mean, even some of the best of them, you often see the American sprinters at the highest level in the Olympics dropping the baton and the whole lot. But I presume being a tight-knit bond in Listowel, but a lot of people would look at athletics and sometimes say it's kind of a lonely sport, you're on your own. But it's nice to be within a group, is it?
Definitely. Without the group, I don't know, would I still be at it? Like, there's the fun, the crack you have. There's a boys relay team as well. So you have about 8 or 9 of us training together. Without the group, I don't know.
And of course, another person that's quite important in your life is your coach, who happens to be your dad as well, a quite well-known athlete in his own right.
Yeah, no, I suppose Dad kind of started training me during lockdown, when training was cancelled. He's a big part of my life. He's a world champion himself, so he knows what he's doing. It's nice though to have that close bond with a coach. It's very important for every athlete, but it does make those moments winning a national title even more special when it's with your dad.
Tomás, that's a good point there about coaching. I mean, you look at them, a lot of them kind of be family members or dads. How important is the first coach to bring you on and get you set up and put you on the right track?
Absolutely. I suppose with athletics, it's about, number one, I suppose, having the energy to do the research if you don't know about the sport, but do the research and find out about it. But there's the energy and the passion. I suppose the reward is, it's because it's such a measurable sport. You can, if you're moving in the right direction, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you will see improvements on the clock. You will see improvements on the tape, whether it's a jumper or a thrower that you're coaching, and that's where the reward is. Generally speaking, when you're coaching somebody that's new, you see massive gains fast. And I know Megan will probably talk about this. Like, Megan is now running 12.3 for 100 metres, right? So that's your PB, Megan, 12.33. So Megan, probably this time last year, you were probably running 13 seconds. Yeah. So the improvement to get to 13 seconds from 13.5, that was a journey, obviously, that Kevin and Megan and the team went through. But then to go from 13 seconds to 12.5 to 12.3, so the real challenge now is going to be how to go from 12.3 to 12.1.
Yeah, and it's gas. You're talking barely parts of seconds, but yet it's a big journey to get from that gap to that jump to there. Megan, talk to us about getting into the sport. I mean, obviously there was football and probably a bit of camogie around the place and maybe other things, but why athletics? How did athletics arrive on your doorstep? Obviously, I suppose you were influenced with your father to around the house at the stage, but can you remember going down and doing your first session?
I can. I won a medal in community games, local Listowel community games, and Dad kind of looked at me. He was like, "Look, go on, give it a go, it'll be in." And there was a load of us my age, and got on really well with them. And under 10s, we actually won a national bronze medal in the relay, and that was kind of it then for a while. Myself, never really hit that national level individually. Lucky to even make Munster finals, but
you persevered away all the same. I mean, a lot of people probably would say, "Oh, it's not working out for me." You might give it up or pack it up or put the spikes away, but you kept at it.
I did. Obviously, look, I was doing a lot of other sports, Irish dancing, taekwondo, football, but I don't know, just something about the athletics.
The athletics was always going to call you back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Can you remember when you got, we'll say, getting back to being competitive again? Obviously, you're leaving secondary school now, heading into the third level education, where there's huge opportunities there. I mean, there's an awful lot of intervarsities, athletics, and the whole lot there. But talk to me about your secondary school and the athletics that you would have done there, maybe.
I suppose my breakthrough moment in my athletics career would have been community games, county final 2019. Throughout the whole year in 2019, I was battling with a teammate, actually just my club mate,
Right.
and I just got her on the line in the county final, and it was from there I kind of started to realise, look, if I put my work in, I surely might get somewhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of love for the community games, Thomas. I mean, it's kind of the first kind of junior Olympics within the county. I mean, even this year, the flood of rain was to come, and people put their tents up and they all pitched around their little corners and all that, and sent their little troops into action, and you know, they all competed, and they all came around the bend, and they all got clapped and all that. But the importance of getting to maybe the higher level of that and moving on into, we'll say, the regionals and the whole lot, that gives athletes great confidence.
Yeah, I suppose, look, athletics is an accessible sport. So it is, you know, all you need is, do you even need a pair of runners, for instance, right? You can run barefoot in the community games. But, like, you know, it is an accessible sport. There's a club everywhere. So, I mean, if your first experience is a community games or a local club competition, then, as Megan said, there's something about it. So for different people, it's the different thing. But I think just my experience would be the common thing is people always want to see their time immediately after the race. So medals don't really matter, but to run fast in a race, and Megan will probably concur here, like you'd rather come fourth running 12.3 than probably taking a medal running 12.7, for instance, right? That seems to be a common theme with athletes. It's the drive of seeing the improvement, and then the process, the journey of what goes on behind the scenes, because there's a lot of training goes on for competitions that happen in a very compressed period of time. So, for instance, July is the entire month of national championships. So the season kind of starts and finishes very quickly. But there is an indoor season as well that happens in the winter time for the track and field athletes. So, but still, it's the journey, the training, the camaraderie that you can build up. But sometimes, because there's a big drop-off in all sorts of sports, it's up to the coaches and the clubs to figure out a way, just like the guys in Listowel have there with Megan, and just like other clubs have done around the county as well, to figure out a way of the retention of the athletes that are 15, 16 plus. So that's the real focus that needs to go in, and I think the measurement of it and the visibility of the improvements is something that really could be built on, along with the whole relay culture that Megan was talking about.
Absolutely. Megan, you're far too modest. Go on, tell us how good you are. What have you been winning? The big long list there Thomas gave me earlier, and you tell me.
Recently enough, I won the under-19 national 100 metres and came second in the 200. I suppose one of the...
What's it like to win a national championships under 19? You know, you get up there, you're in an elite field, people are probably looking at you, you come out, you set your marks, you're probably in your zone or a whole lot. Maybe some people are nervous, some people are probably not nervous at all, some people are doing it loads of times, it might be the first time for others. What's it like to take the line with those people?
Obviously going into the championships, I knew I had a chance at a medal, and I wasn't leaving without one. But after running my heat, the gold was mine. I no way.
Do you actually know at that stage, if you run a good heat, or you often see it on the television, the guys run good heats and people say straight away, yeah, they're tipped. It's obviously massive confidence to know that you've run a good heat, a good time, everything's good, and you go into the final, like you said, I know that gold is mine.
Yeah, no, like after running a good heat or a good time even, you're way more relaxed heading into a final, like national final. It's always going to be nervous no matter how long you're at it. But no, you're more relaxed, and that's what you need at that start line, just focusing on that line.
And how many more start lines must you do in the next couple of months, or is the season coming to an end on you?
It's just finished now, finished up with the national under-20s. But no, kind of excited now to see what next year holds.
Brilliant. And what will you do in the meantime? Will you go back now training with Dad? You might help him out maybe.
I'll probably take a break now for another week or two, and head back then into some gym work with my coach Dylan O'Leary, and then start chatting up with Dad, see see when we're back training in Listowel.
Good God, he'll be proud of you, will he?
I think so.
Absolutely, fair play. Well, listen, thanks very much. We could talk for an hour on athletics. We will do it again next month, and we will bring a special to you in September as well with some of the finest talent around the place, Tomás. But for this evening, thanks, Tomás, and thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tomás.
There you go, Tomás, Griffin.